want you all to know that I am feeling so much better. And I also cannot thank you enough for all the fantastic comments and prayers and just really sweet, kind comments I got on my video all about my hospital stay. If you haven't seen that video, I can link it up here. But you know, it's been a slow, step-by-step improvement every day. I still have my times where I just can't do it anymore, and I still am slow going on days. Some days it feels like, you know, 2 steps forward and 1 step back. One piece of advice that I want you all to know that was repeated over and over to me was rest, rest, and more rest. And I have been doing that. I've been getting good sleep at night. I've been napping during the day when I felt like I needed it. And then, you know, doing my thing in between. So I'm still in recovery mode, but it is so much more improved. I even felt like I have had the energy to sit down and do a video and do some editing. I've been doing a little housekeeping. I've been doing a little cooking. You know, just kind of moving my way back into doing all the things of life again, and it feels good. So thank you all very much for your kindness. It has meant a lot to me. Some of the clips in this Homemakers Journal were filmed before I went into the hospital. So that's probably partly what made this one so easy to put together, is I had a lot of the video footage already. So when you see me out walking and doing stuff, that was before I ended up in the hospital. The other day, my husband and I had to go into town to run some errands, and on our way, before we headed back up here into the mountains, we stopped at a grocery store to pick up a few groceries, and it was just starting to, you know, get a little bit dark. And I realized it was 5:30, and I was like, woohoo. You know, not only are we out of January, that long, dark month of the year, but the days are getting a little longer, so yay for that. We're going to be moving towards spring here before we know it. I have a little household kitchen tip to share with you. I tend to buy natural peanut butter, and the type where the oil and the peanuts separate. There's no hydrogenated oils or any other ingredients added to it, and so they will separate. And then it's such a pain in the neck when you go to open the jar and you've got to, you know, stick a knife in there or stir it up trying to without the oil spilling over, or you can't quite get to the bottom of the jar, so by the time you use up the peanut butter, you've got all this hard chunky peanut butter at the bottom that you know, typically I would throw some coconut oil in there or something and then warm it in the microwave just so I could finish off the jar. And what I came up with was this idea years ago. I used to buy, there was a brand called Adam's Peanut Butter. Don't know if that's a familiar brand for anybody, but they sold big containers of it. And of course, with 8 kids, I needed big containers of peanut butter. And so this is the method that I developed back then. Nowadays, I buy 2 smaller jars of peanut butter from Costco, natural organic peanut butter, and I got to show you what I do to get it nice and smooth. Now, this particular jar of peanut butter had been sitting on the shelf for a few months, and so, you know, the peanut part of it was really, it was hard, and it would have been very difficult to mix up doing it really any other way. But I start out by just opening the jar and dumping that oil into a bowl, and then I spoon out or use a spatula or whatever works, get all that peanut butter out of the jar and into my bowl. And then I take my handheld mixer and I just put it on low and start mixing. And I just mix it until it turns out nice and smooth. Now, back in the day when I would buy the huge big jars of Adam's peanut butter and do this, I would put it into my Bosch. And this was the same method I used back then. After I have it mixed all smooth, I then will just pour it back into the jar. And at that point, you want to make sure that you get it into the refrigerator as quickly as possible, because if you let it sit on the counter, it'll start separating again. But once it's in the refrigerator, now you know you have the whole jar of peanut butter all nice and smooth and ready to go. It's just a neat, nifty little trick. You know, you may think, oh, is it really worth dirtying up a bowl and your mixer and all that? And trust me, it's totally worth it. It only takes a few minutes to clean up everything, and now you don't look at every jar of peanut butter you have to open with dread. Or maybe I'm the only one that does that. I don't know.
Walks in it. He loves being in it.
Are those dog prints? It could be that big brown lab that's on the very top of the road. Could be.
Could be.
Or it might be there.
This next one isn't a recipe, but it is a creative use of leftovers. Sometimes we are the best stewards of our food and not letting things go to waste when we just kind of expand on our creativity to try to create meals from what we have on hand or a little bit of something here or there and create something new. I've talked about that in soup. On how to make soup without a recipe. It's a great creative use and of your leftovers. But I wanted to show you what I did one night. I had less than 2 cups of chili left. I had made a pot of chili a couple days, 2-3 days before that, and we had eaten everything, I don't know, at least 2 nights. Did we have it 3? Can't remember now. But at least we had it at least 2 nights. And so what I had left was just this small amount. I'm going to say that's probably equivalent to a can of store-bought chili. I also had the last of a few potatoes in a bag. And so I decided that I would do something creative with this. Now, when you're coming up with creative ideas for leftovers, you know, you're basically taking what you have on hand. I could have created the same type of meal with some cooked rice. I could have created it with some already cooked pasta. So just let your imagination go and look in your pantry and just try to decide, okay, what do I have that I could put with this to turn it into a brand new meal? In my case, it was potatoes. Now, I went ahead and microwaved these potatoes for a few minutes to get them kind of soft so that they wouldn't have to have so much cooking time later in the oven. You could also bake them in the oven for a little while just to get a head start on the cooking. I cut up all those potatoes and I mixed in the chili that I had left with that. I also had about 4 ounces of cream cheese that was room temperature, half of a package that I had in the refrigerator, so I kind of mixed that in there along with it. I also added probably about a half a cup of frozen corn and some grated cheese. And then I stirred everything all up till it was nicely mixed together. And then I attempted to pour it all into my casserole dish. So I was gonna cut that part out because I made such a mess. And then I thought, hey, you know what? That's real life. This stuff happens, right? But after I got all that cleaned up, and I covered the casserole with some foil and popped it into the oven. And I don't remember what I cooked it in. I cooked it, I think, at about 350. And I just let it cook until my potatoes were nice and soft. That was the indicator to me that my casserole was done. So we had a brand new meal, and enjoyed it thoroughly. I served it with a salad. The first night it was just a little bit soupy from the chili and everything, but we actually ate it for 2 nights. The next night the liquids in the chili had all been absorbed by the potatoes, and so it wasn't quite as liquidy, I guess. Anyway, that is just one idea to give you some food for thought on making use of your leftovers and learning to be good stewards of the food that you have on hand so food doesn't go to waste. So I wanted to share with you an electrolyte drink mix that my daughter basically developed on her own after doing a lot of research. Her husband is in construction, and so during this long, hot summer days, he's working outside, he sweats a lot, so she was trying to find a healthier alternative for electrolytes than, say, Gatorade or Powerade or something like that. And what she came up with, I think, is pretty cool. So I'm going to show you that to you and how I make it, just in case there's somebody out there that would like to have a healthier alternative to these electrolytes, and especially if you're really in need of having those, like I have been since my surgery. And I'm going to tell you, it makes a huge difference when I drink it. I usually make one batch, it makes 2 cups at a time, at least that's what I make, and I drink that down, and boy, I can just feel the difference. So something way better than like I said, Gatorade, Powerade, or that type of stuff. And there's no sugar in it other than natural sugar. So let me just show you what I do. So here are the basic components of what I use. I use organic coconut water, I use organic orange juice, and I use magnesium bicarbonate. And so I'll talk a little bit about each one of these. I get these at Costco. They come in a box like this, and there are 6 of them. Coconut water is very interesting. All I can say is read your labels, because a lot of coconut water puts a whole lot of other ingredients in it, plus sugar. So you want something that's just real coconut water. Coconut water is extremely high in potassium, and that is a key component to an electrolyte drink. The next is the orange juice, the organic orange juice. And this is Kirkland brand, so obviously I get this at Costco, of course. Wherever you can find your ingredients, that's fine, but that's where I get it. So obviously it has a lot of vitamin C in it, which isn't necessarily part of an electrolyte drink. It has also a little bit of potassium in it, and a very small amount of calcium in it. The main component, I think, in the orange juice is that it really improves the taste a lot, especially if you're not a huge fan of coconut water. I mean, it's okay, but by itself, it's not necessarily my favorite thing. And this last ingredient is the magnesium bicarbonate. It's a liquid. You have to shake it up because it separates and gets this white chalky part at the bottom. Apparently, from what I understand about magnesium bicarbonate, is it is a magnesium salt, and it is more readily absorbed by your body. If you would like to add more salt to it, you can put a little bit of that in also. I don't add salt to it just because I feel like I get plenty of salt in my diet, so I don't do that. I use a canning jar when I mix mine up. So basically we're looking at a cup of coconut water, and hopefully I have a cup left in here. Yep, I do. And another cup of the orange juice. And I just used the lid to measure my magnesium, but it's about a ½ teaspoon to a teaspoon, somewhere around in there. And I add that in there and kind of give it a good stir. And that is it. You are now ready to drink. And I also wanted to mention that I will leave a link to this brand where you can find it if you're interested. I don't make any commission off of it. This was just what my daughter found in all of her research, and what she found has worked the best. So I will let you know where you can get that if you're interested in putting this little mixture together. Okay, I think that wraps up this episode of Homemakers Journal 15. And I hope that you guys enjoyed this, found something useful, found something helpful in all of this. My goal at this point is to continue to take my little baby steps and work my way back up to 2 videos a week. I don't really know. I mean, every day, like I said, I'm feeling better, and I'm working to stay on top of my own life, and videos follow that. And so hopefully, if you see another video, if you see 2 videos a week coming out, well, then you know I'm making my goal. If you don't see that, it's because I'm just, needing more sleep, needing more rest, needing to take care of me a little bit more. But whatever happens, my goal now is to keep moving forward again on my own life and on my video life. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate all you wonderful, wonderful people. I just really enjoy your comments. I enjoy just the little community that's happening around my channel. It really is a blessing to me, and I appreciate the time that you take to watch my videos. All right, you guys, I will see you all in my next video. Bye-bye.